The second step for our accommodation process is to provide us with disability documentation. So in order to evaluate accommodation and service requests, our office will need information about how your disability is likely to impact you here at BCC. We want to understand the relevant impacts of your disability on tasks such as communication, reading, writing, technology, physical environment, classroom, labs, online, etc. Any and all information that you will give us, we will treat as private and confidential. There are a couple of different types of documentation that you can submit. The first and most common one is an IEP. This would have been given in high school. An IEP may or may not include educational or psychological evaluations. If it does not include those things, we will ask them in addition to the IEP. Other documentations include a 504, or medical documentation, or a typed medical letter. A typed medical letter has 4 requirements. The first is that it must be on the physician's letterhead. The diagnosis must be stated. How that diagnosis affects you, so what barriers does it create? And the fourth is what accommodations a physician recommends and how that would support the student. If you submit any or all of these types of documentation to us, we can proceed with the accommodation process. The next part is to review how to submit documentation to us. There's 3 different options. The first is dropping off a copy to us in our office. Our office is located in the Pitkin Education Center in room L115. Please note that we only accept copies. This is because once we accept it, we do not return it back. And if you need these documents for any additional need, we want to make sure you have them. The second is email. You can scan and email your documentation to ossdoc@bergen.edu. You may use your me.bergen.edu email. However, if you do not have one yet, you may also use the email that you applied to BCC for. The last and most traditional would also be snail mail or mailing copies to us. Again, we only accept copies, as once we accept them, they will not be returned to you. Regardless of how you submit your documentation, you will get a documentation receipt letting you know that we've received it, and then you are set for the next part. Once your documentation and your intake form are both submitted, that is when that 4 to 6 week countdown begins. So if you wait a month to submit your documentation, then you have to wait another 4 to 6 weeks to receive the results. Once everything is done, you will have 2 things may occur. The first is the documentation you submitted may not be enough to support the accommodation requests, and we will email you stating we need additional documentation from you. Once we have that additional documentation, we can move forward with the accommodation process. The second option is the documentation submitted is sufficient, and you will receive an eligibility letter to your BCC email, or the email you used when applying to BCC. In that email, it will list the accommodations you've been found eligible for and prompt you to sign up for the accommodation workshop, which is the third part of our process. Lastly, if you are required to take the AccuPlacer replacement exam, you may use your eligibility letter at this time. You would email that eligibility letter to testoss@bergen.edu. The third part is the accommodation workshop. As I mentioned in your eligibility letter, you will have a link to sign up for a workshop. This link in general relies on one-on-one or group virtual workshops. So you would have to make that appointment, attend the workshop, and during that workshop time, you will be sent a student agreement form. Once that is read, signed, and received on our end, which will be shown later, you will receive your accommodation letter. So the workshop is a critical step toward receiving your accommodations. Again, you will receive that eligibility letter in your email, and it is the student's responsibility to sign up for a workshop. The goal of the workshop is to introduce the students to the eligible accommodations and how to implement them here at BCC. If you scroll down in the website, you can see there is another way to link to the workshops here. Once everything is complete and you've received your accommodation letter, these are sort of the next steps or the final steps. So once you receive your accommodation letter, you will receive one every semester that you are registered for classes, whether that's in person or remote. What you will do is once you receive that letter, which is usually sent 1 to 2 days before the semester begins, you will forward a copy of that letter to each professor separately. In that forwarded email, you will introduce yourself, tell them the class that you're registered for, and list your accommodations you would like to use. You would then ask them how to set up a meeting with them or to open a dialogue of discussion to discuss how to implement your accommodations in their class. Lastly, and most importantly, you're going to ask the professor to acknowledge that they've received your letter. If you plan to utilize the accommodated testing, please email testoss@bergen.edu your accommodation letter as well.